Who's your favorite chess player?
Hikaru.
Do you think you could beat him?
There we go.
What's your favorite food?
Okay, here we go. Let's watch the video.
Chess, the game of war on 64 squares. But, I wondered, can chess...
Wait, did he just say the game of love? Or no, he said the game of war. Sorry, the game of war on 64 squares. Okay.
with hexagons? There have been several attempts, the most successful published in a book in the UK in 1973, which I promptly ordered to investigate. And while waiting for one of the remaining copies to be pulled out of the back of a used bookstore who knows where, I realized to try hexagon chess when it arrived, I would need a hexagonal chess board, something the internet does not make.
Wait, this is crazy. I've never heard of this, you guys. I've literally never heard of hexagon chess. In my entire life, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of hexagon chess. This is a new one even to me. This is new. This is new. Let's keep going.
I would need to make one myself. While a grid of squares can simply alternate two colors without touching, I mean, unless you count the diagonals, a hexagonal grid needs 3 colors for no touching, and finding pre-made hexes in 3 nice matching shades to make my board was a lot harder than I expected, and when I found some, they ended up being a lot bigger than I expected, but I didn't realize that until after I had ordered rather a lot of them. You may be wondering why I didn't just, you know, draw a hex board. That's an excellent question that did not occur to me until after lots of hexagons and chess pieces began arriving at my door. What can I say? Brains are weird, and this brain needed to finish what it started and build the board. A square chessboard has a correct orientation, white on your right, and so too does hex chess have a correct orientation.
Wait, what?
When building your
wait a second. Let me pause it here.
So too does hex chess.
Wait, so this means you need white. So wait, it's white to wait, what? Why is this correct? I'm confused. So it has to be white at the bottom, black at the top. I mean, I'm confused, but let's keep going. I'm confused.
Have a correct orientation. When building your board, start with black on top, white below, and gray to either side. Then grow the pattern out so no color touches another until you have 2 edges each 6 spaces long. Then complete the pattern until the mega hexagon has 6 6-sided sides. Black goes with black and white with white. After completing my board, the book did arrive, which detailed all of the rules and included this delightful pamphlet
What is this book? Let me go back. What is this book? W. Glinsky. What is this a real book? Wait, let me see. Hexagon Chess Glinsky, whatever his name is. This can't be a real book, can it? I mean, is this on Amazon? Let me see. Glinsky. Let me see. Glinsky Hexagon. I don't see it. It's not available on Amazon, so I'm not sure if it's a real book. Yeah, it's not available on Amazon. Władysław Glinsky. Okay. I don't know how to buy the book, but let's keep going.
The rules and included this delightful pamphlet to join the Hex Chess Association by calling this number with a word in it. The book also came with, it turned out, a hex chessboard, but too late. My board was made, and I was going to use this board to show you how the pieces move, beginning with the most humble, the pawn. In square chess, the pawn moves forward 1 space at a time and can capture other pieces on the forward diagonals. I've always thought of this as a soldier with a shield protecting his front and a short sword that can jab to either side. The 8 pawns with their diagonal attacks form self-defending walls that the other pieces can support or push off from, and it's these structures that make pawns the soul of chess. In hex chess, pawn movement is mostly unchanged. Move forward 1 space at a time, capture to the forward sides. To keep their soulful nature, this is the pawn starting arrangement in hex chess. Note there are now 9 pawns needed to complete the defensive structure, which is buffed from square chess and buffed again as the pawns begin the game defending each other. Pawns also have 2 special moves. The first is, if they make it to the back row, a pawn gets promoted to any piece other than a king. Here we see the first interesting side effect of a hex board. In square chess, every time a pawn captures, it gets 1 space closer to the back row for promotion. but on a hex board, a pawn capturing toward the center is still the same distance from the back as before.
Okay.
Capturing away from the center,
Then you're
however,
3.
brings a pawn closer to promotion. In chess, controlling the center of the board.
You know what this reminds me of, you guys? I feel like there's one of those there's one of those Gamba games where you like the ball drops and it just goes down the hexagon, right? Isn't there like there are all these little pins? That's what it reminds me of. Is like you go to the side to get closer. So you got like it's like the 1x on the side versus center where it's like 50x or something. That's what it reminds me of.
Board is vital, but now in hex chess, there's a slight disincentive to pawn capture centerward, and thus a slight incentive to spread the game outward. The next special power of pawns is the first time a pawn moves, it can move 2 spaces. This is the same in hex chess, though pawns get another bit of a buff.
Whoa, wait a second.
If the first...
Wait a second. How do you play en passant in this? How do you play en passant? How do you play en passant?
Time a pawn captures, it lands on the starting space of another pawn, it's still allowed to move forward too. My guess is this rule came about out of playtesting. In square chess, it's impossible for a pawn to end up on the starting square of a neighbor. It's forward or nothing, but not so in hex chess. So buffing the pawns this way is just practical, so you mostly don't have to keep track of which pawn started where. It doesn't matter. The last special pawn power is en passant, aka the top sneaky capture. If an enemy pawn moves forward 2 spaces past yours, such that you could have captured it if the enemy had only moved forward 1, you still can. This rule always trips up noobs in square chess, and it's here to do the same in hex chess in the same way. Okay, that's pawns. On to the rook. The rook is the most similar piece in both games. In square chess, it can move any number of unblocked spaces horizontally or vertically, and can capture anything in its way. Now, on the hex board, there is no horizontal, but there are what are called files, straight lines that pass through the neighboring spaces. Rooks can move along any file, which feels pretty buffed from square chess, and I don't mind one bit. While chess is often symbolized with the knight, my simple pleb-rated heart has always been with the rook. Rook smash. Personal preferences aside, this adaptation to hexagonification makes sense. A square shares sides with 4 true neighbors. A hexagon shares side with 6 neighbors. So horizontal or vertical motion on a hex board translates to a straight line through a series of neighbors, which is exactly what the hex rook does. Once you think of these lines as being the new horizontal and vertical, the capturing and blocking of pieces in hex chess works exactly the same as square chess. Now, on to the knight. Knights too are pretty similar to their square versions. Square knights jump, forward 2 spaces, over 1. And since we now know what straight on a hex board looks like, the hex knight jumps straight 2 and then over 1. This jumping motion is unique in the game, allowing knights to skip over any pieces in the way and capture what they land on. Just like the hex rook, the hex knight has more freedom of motion on the hex.
Wait, this is really confusing. Wait, so what? It's two and L. It's like 2 any direction and then over 1 like makes the L. So that way, that down, that way down, down, 2. Yeah, okay. I get how the knight moves, but this is kind of wild actually. This is kind of wild.
Hex board, 12 spaces versus 8. But this freedom of motion expansion isn't the case for all pieces, which brings us to the bishop. The square bishop moves only on the diagonals, forever limiting each to the color they start on. And this diagonal motion lets the bishop slide through pieces that seem like they should block it, but don't, because diagonals. So how does this translate to hex chess? Well, what diagonal means isn't obvious at first glance. Going back to the rook as a reminder, while these look like diagonals, in hex chess they aren't. So what's a bishop to do? Well, as we've already seen, diagonal motion on square boards is sort of weird, and one reason to use a hex board, like many modern games do, is to ditch the diagonals. But if you really need them, as poor bishops do, hex boards can diagonal too, and the clue is in the colors. This is diagonal motion on a hex board. The hex the bishop is on points...
That's not a diagonal, that's straight. That's straight side to side. That's not a diagonal. That's straight. That's not a diagonal. That's not a diagonal. The bishop is moving like a rook. That is not a diagonal. That is not a diagonal. You're moving side to side. That's how rooks move. That's not a diagonal. Whoever came with this game, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just, you're just wrong because it's side to side. The other ones make sense. Like you go down, like I even pointed, I made the finger gesture, like up and down. That makes sense. But you're going side to side. That's like how a queen or a rook moves. That's not how a bishop, but that's not a diagonal, bro. That's not a diagonal. It's just not. It's relative to it's relative to each edge. Okay, thank you.
The way to the next diagonals, quite literally, which, when you think about it, is the same as on a square board. It's just less noticeable because diagonal squares share the pointing points and hex boards don't. I like this a lot because the hex board makes the strangeness of diagonal motion more apparent in a way square boards conceal. And it makes it more like what the bishop lacks in board coverage, it gains in diagonal exploitation, sort of teleporting along sight lines. If this is hard to see, I've found it easier to think of the bishop as existing in its own dimension that only partially overlaps with the rest of the game, a monochrome world other pieces move into and out of. And viewing it this way also makes it really clear a hex board really nerfs each bishop. Yes, it can move in 6 directions, but there are so few spaces. To make up for that, in hex chess you get 1 extra bishop to match the extra color, so each covers its third of the board. There are 91 spaces in total, 30 for black, 30 for white, and 31 for gray, which you might think makes the gray bishop slightly more valuable, but this extra space buff comes with the nerf of no ability to attack pieces cornered in the corners and can make endgames trickier. That's the bishop done, and now that you understand its motion, we can move on to the queen. The queen in square chess moves in straight and diagonal lines, and it's the same with the hex queen, along all the files as the rook would and along all the diagonals as would a bishop. The queen is the most powerful piece in square chess, but it's hilarious how godlike her freedom of motion looks on the hex board.
Yeah, like
absolutely crushing the king, capturing the king.
Wait a second. How many squares does the queen cover? I'm like, this is like what is this like? Like the queen literally goes to like 3/4 of the board. So like the guy said chess was designed wrong. No, I mean this is not the correct version because the queen is too strong here, like way too strong. I need to make a video why hex chess is flawed. Yeah, because the guy's video is called Chess Was Designed Wrong. No, chess was designed correctly because the queen is way too powerful here. The queen literally can go to like 3/4 of the board. This is insane. Actually legitimately insane. Yeah, insane. How many empty squares are there here? There's like, I mean, let me turn off the closed caption for a second. There's 1, 2 at the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 2, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm assuming it's the top on the same half. So it's like 40 squares, right? There are 40 squares that are empty. I don't even know how many squares are on the total board, but there are 20 squares that are free on the bottom half. So it's like it's probably 20 on the top half too, right? Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing. It's 91 squares. Like, yeah, because I count 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's 2 blacks. 24, 28, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 42 plus 4, 46. And maybe I missed 2, but it's 46 or 48. So like literally, like the queen can go to half the squares. Literally, it's just insane. Actually, just insane. It's 48. Okay, so I missed 2 in there. Yeah, so that's just actually insane. Let's keep going.
On the hex board, absolutely crushing the king. Capturing the king is the target of the game, and it is the poor king that is limited to moving just 1 square in any direction. Simple enough, and you might think that this is how the hex king...
Basically what this means is that the king has to literally... So you have to like always protect your king, because your king can get hit from like a million miles away, right? Your king's gonna get hit from like a million different ways, so you have to be extremely defensive, I would think.
Would move, but don't forget those tricksy diagonals the points point the way to. This is 1 movement in any direction, either to a neighbor or teleporting 1 space of the same color. And given all of this, boy, does the king really need that extra escape move. In fact, this additional freedom of motion makes him so much slippier to catch that putting your opponent in stalemate, where the king can't make a non-suicidal move, considered a tie in square chess, counts as 3/4 of a win.
By the way, I'm dying at this video. The amount of times this guy has said square chess. Like, I'm gonna start incorporating that into my jargon pretty soon. Square chess, square chess. I don't think I've ever heard anybody call chess square chess before in my life, and I've been in chess a long time.
Basically winning. There's only one nerf for the king, which is castling doesn't exist because of how the pieces are set up, which we'll get to now. So you've got the board, you've got the pawns, then across the back row going inward, it's rooks, then knights, queen to the left, king to the right, and 3 bishops in the middle. That's the way hex chess works, and since I made this ridiculous board, I decided I might as well try it out. And since I had no one to play against, I played a game against myself, which turned out to be rather brain-bending. Not just because trying to remember all the new piece movements and patterns was really hard, but it was even harder to see them on the board and think with them. My game against myself did not go well. I made some truly dumb moves and turned what should have been a stalemate into losing quite badly to myself. But it sure was interesting and answered the question, can chess with hexagon? Yes, agon.
Oh my gosh, that's a great video. I know it's a joke, but that's like hilarious. I mean, sometimes I see this stuff and I'm just like, wow. Next time you see Fabiano ask me like square chess and film his reaction, yes, exactly. That is too good. That was great. That was like the best thing I've ever seen. All right, what is this?
You know what's incredible? How much burns off energy is playing chess. They had these world-class chess players in these world championship events, and they found out they were burning thousands of calories just sitting there playing chess because they were all losing weight. And they're trying to figure out, why are these guys losing weight? Like, what's happening over the course of this tournament? But their brain is firing. Look at that. Chess player can burn up to 6,000 calories a day. You know what's incredible? How much burns off energy is
this by the way is nonsense. I'll just turn the volume down for a second. This is complete nonsense.
Chess. They had these world-class chess players in these world championship events, and they found out they were burning thousands of calories just sitting there playing chess because they were
also, you know what else I love about this clip is, you know what the clip also says? The clip also says at the bottom, it says why chess players are skinny, and that's also not true of most chess players. Yeah, most chess players are not skinny like that, and you don't burn 6,000 calories. That being said, I will tell you guys that usually when I play tournaments, I do generally lose weight. But yeah, I mean, I save my cardio for the board. Exactly. I mean, you do burn calories, but you don't burn 6,000 calories. But that's pretty funny. That's actually really funny. Please do a double disambiguated checkmate again. All right, let's keep going. What's next? What is this? All right, we have an article here from chess.com. What is this exactly? This is let me see. This is Super Pog Champs to start December 2nd with the strongest Pog Champs field ever. You've seen them crawling, and now it's time to see them running. The strongest Pog Champs participants in history are gathering to take on new challengers in Super Pog Champs from December 2nd to the 5th. Former chess novices from past Pog Champs and strong chess-loving celebrities are ready to showcase their talent at the most high-level Pog Champs yet. Okay. All right. The event will feature a $50,000 prize fund and some of the most successful creators and celebrities in the world. The format remains the same as Pog Champs 6, with all the drama condensed into an action-packed 4-day competition. All right, so what is this event? Oh, you know, the first thing that's actually kind of weird about this, that I did see this yesterday. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't hear about this. But the first thing that's very weird about this event is you do have 2 players in this event who have played professional. I wouldn't say professional, but have played like serious competitive level chess, which makes it kind of strange. You have the 2 players. You have Andrea Botez up here in the top left and Linda Diaz, who both have played serious tournaments. So it's kind of a little bit awkward from that standpoint. That you have 2 people who have played chess like seriously, like over the board, whereas nobody else has, which kind of caught my eye as being a touch weird, but you know, it is what it is. But let's see who's playing. So what is Botez doing there? I mean, I don't know, but Linda Diaz is actually a stronger player objectively. Like Linda Diaz, I think her USCF rating was like 2100, so a little bit stronger. But but yeah, you have Botez, you have Linda Diaz, and you have Masioka, you have Sardosh, you have Sonic Fox, Will Benson, Daryl Morey, Virtual, Tyler One, Same Reina, Voyboy, and Spargo. I would say a couple players have no chances from the get-go. I think Same Reina, I'm a big fan of his comedy, but I think when I look at least if I use Botez or Diaz as benchmarks, I don't think Same is going to have a chance in this tournament. So I really feel like he's one of the few players who probably is going to lose early. He'll obviously be very comedic. Everyone else, I don't really have a good read on what their measures are. Sorry, this is stupid. It should be non-chess players only. I mean, I generally would agree, but again, I have no input. I'm not involved with this tournament. So like it's what it is, but it still should be interesting. Am I going to be an instructor? No, although I will say, I know several of these people. I know Masioka, for example. I went on one of the weekends recently. I was hanging out with him, and we did some escape room stuff, which was kind of cool. I saw Voyboy when I was in Vegas recently. Of course, I know Daryl Morey quite well as also. So, like, I know three of these people on a personal level. Obviously, I met Tyler One in Saudi Arabia. Sardosh, I've had some communications with. I didn't see him in France, I don't think, during the freestyle, but you know, it is an interesting field. Again, you have two people who should be better, I would guess, in general, but we'll see. Having pro-ish players makes it a mockery, to be fair. I mean, it's what it is. I assume they thought that it would get more views or generate more interest. I mean, I would say that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the end result of this is hard to judge, but I think it's going to be. I mean, I think there's potential it's going to be bad either way. I think, you know, if one of them wins, you'll be like, okay, well, they played chess. Of course they won. Like, they have much more experience. And if they don't win, then you'll be like, well, wait, what's going on here? Like, they're not very good chess players. And I'm not saying that to like start some drama, but I do think that it's gonna be a bad look either way. I'm kind of worried about the outcome because one of those two outcomes is going to happen, probably. I mean, has to happen. So, you know, we'll see. But okay, the event will be live on our Twitch and YouTube channels, hosted by master players and other special guests. To celebrate this event, chess.com will donate $10,000 to Lead Haiti to promote learning, health, and well-being for Haitian girls in underserved communities through art center educational programs. We invite you to join us in supporting Lead Haiti's cause. But obviously they'll win. I don't think it's obvious they'll win, actually. I mean, my assumption is they'll win, but I don't think it's guaranteed. Like, I do think Masioka is one of the players who could win this tournament. I don't know the level of the others. I mean, basically what I would say is, okay, let's assume that both Botez and Linda Diaz are like 2,000 strength over the board. Let's just use 2,000 as a baseline. I don't know if that's true, but let's just use that as a baseline. If they're 2,000 over the board, let's say a little bit lower. Let's just say like they're 19 or 1,800. You know, online ratings are a little bit inflated these days. So when I look at these players, Daryl Morey, I think, is around 1,700, I would say, over the board. I think 1,700, 1,800 maybe. Masioka, I think, also might be 1,700, 1,800 over the board. Everybody else, I don't know. Like, Tyler One is like 2,000 or something online, but I think his rating is probably like, if you compare online versus actual rating, is probably plus at least 500. So I mean, that's such a big gap that I don't see it happening. And Voyboy, another one where I think online his rating might be like 1,800, probably like 1,400 over the board. There's no way a 1,400 is ever going to beat a 2,000 level player. So I don't know. I mean, just based on where I think online ratings are, I mean, I find it hard to believe that anyone except either Botez or Linda Diaz will win the event. I just kind of don't. I don't see a world where one of those two doesn't win, unless one of these players is like really, really underrated. Well, the point that I'm making for anybody who's watching is, so you say like 1,900 over the board. Online ratings are very inflated, are inflated, and they're actually much more inflated than they used to be because the pool of players on chess.com has become so immense now that it's probably like a I honestly want to say the gap is like 500. Like, actually, if we think about my rating, I'm 3,400 at Blitz. My over the board is like 2,800. So like my rating is inflated by 600. So if we were to use 600 as a baseline, or let's say even 500, Tyler One at 2,000 over the board is 1,500. A 1,500 level player playing against a 2,000 level player over the board is going to like not have a chance to win. That's just the reality. That's just the reality. Like, Linda Diaz, I know her rating was like 2091 at some point. I don't know her current rating. But I would say that basically, if you think about the gap, assuming that I'm right on how the ratings and the inflation, what they are relative to actual over the board strength, I would guess that it's very unlikely that anybody except for one of those two wins. Could be wrong. Voyboy played as a kid. I think Voyboy's peak rating was about like 1500 maybe. But again, 1500 versus 1900 or 2000, no chance to win. No chance to win. No chance to win. I mean, I like Masaoka. Of course, like I said, I know him. I know him. Like, we went and had some ramen at Join a couple weeks ago, and then we went to some escape rooms. It's pretty cool, actually. So, of course, I would like him to do well. We'll see how he does. Maybe I'll shoot him a message after the stream, see if he needs any help for the tournament. But right now, just looking at it, looking at over the board, I find it hard to believe that either Andrea or Linda Diaz won't win. Maybe Daryl Morey has a chance. Maybe Daryl Morey has a chance, perhaps. It's possible he does. That is possible. Oh, Linda Diaz has a FIDE rating of 1933. Oh, so Linda Diaz is even stronger because FIDE ratings are lower rated. Oh, yeah. Her rating is probably like 2000. This could be rough. This could be a rough event for some of the non-chess players, not gonna lie. I mean, I just, like I said, I think unless one of them is really hidden talent and underrated, yeah, I mean, I know who she is because she grew up in New York. Yeah. But unless one of these guys, like maybe Masaoka or Sardosh or Daryl Morey, does something insane, it's really hard to see a world where one of the two of them doesn't win. I think Virtual also another player who's great. I mean, I have seen bits here or there, but I think I know I said we went to a ramen joint. I didn't say ramen at a joint. I said ramen joint. But thank you, thank you guys. But yeah, I somehow I hope that I'm wrong, but I think it's like one of them is almost certain. Andrea is not the favorite. Linda Diaz is the favorite. If she plays at the level she played at when she was younger, which is like 2000 plus, she's the clear favorite to win the tournament. Clear favorite. So yeah, one of the two is likely a favorite. I would say if you force me to pick someone who didn't play chess as a kid, I would say Daryl Morey, Masaoka, or maybe Sardosh, maybe. I would say one of those three has a chance. Yeah, Linda Diaz's FIDE is 1933, which means her USCF rating is like 2000 plus. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going. What do we have next? We got another clip. What's this?
What's your name and which team do you play for?
I don't know what. Wait, what's this? Why did this? Whoops. 1 second. What's this? What's this?
Video game you ever played. What's your name and which team do you play for?
T1의 페이커고 롤 하고 있습니다.
How did you get your name Faker?
그냥 멋있어 보여서 지었습니다.
What's the first skin you ever bought?
산 거는 없던 것 같습니다.
What's the first video game you ever played?
메이플 스토리?
Ah,
Do
interesting.
you play games other than League of Legends?
지금은 체스 이런 거 하고 있습니다.
Ah,
Who's your favorite chess player?
히카루?
Do you think you could beat him?
there we go.
What's your favorite food?
고기 좋아.
There we go. That's good. That's awesome. I heard about this. I hadn't seen the clip yet, but that's awesome. That's great. That's actually great. That's awesome that Faker plays chess. Unfortunately, as much as I wish I could play like League against him, I'm so bad that it would be the same as him playing chess against me. But yeah, this is pretty funny actually. That's a great clip. Great clip. Great clip. Great clip. Amazing. All right, so where were we in the meantime? That's a good clip. You like the what? No, I mean, Faker is like the best League of Legends player in the world. Actually, no, I was having an interesting conversation before we move on with my trainer, Chris Littlejohn, because he's big in games. He played WoW, StarCraft, all the usual stuff when he was younger. And actually, one of the interesting things is that, Faker has been really good in League of Legends for like a decade now. And in esports generally, it feels like players have a window in their early 20s when they're very good, and then it's kind of all downhill. And Chris's theory was that with a lot of these esports, one of the reasons people don't stay at the top is because they actually lose motivation. There isn't the incentive or the motivation to like maintain that level into your 30s. And of course, esports is also very new as well. But Chris actually was thinking that like someone like Faker or these people, like if people really want to stay at the top, it probably could be more like chess, where you stay up there for at least a decade plus of being near the top. But nonetheless, really, really good to see this clip with Faker. Really nice to see that he plays chess. That's awesome. Really, really awesome to see that, and it's great that he likes my chess. What can I say? That's awesome. That's a great clip.